Long ago, an evil lord terrorized the world of Vana'diel until the four nations came together to defeat him. Now, in the year 863, rumors of a resurrection are afoot. This time it will take the strength of an online video gaming community to defeat him in Final Fantasy XI.
大規模すぎてですね、多分プレイしてる人も
Final Fantasy XI has a huge storyline that is quite sophisticated. Although everybody is playing through the overall game for themselves, we created Final Fantasy XI so that people could journey with other people and experience the world together, and they become part of the story itself.
The way that we accomplished our dream to bring the world of Final Fantasy into an online game is that we put in a system of missions and quests in which the story is told through. You get to hear about the story in parts, and then you gradually get to view parts of the whole story that makes up the background of Final Fantasy XI.
When you start the game, you can choose between three countries: the Kingdom of Sandoria, the Republic of Bastuk, and the Federation of Windhurst. Each country presents you with a different perspective of the world, so you learn about the story from your town's perspective until eventually everyone ends up in Juno, the fourth country, and you get the full breadth of the storyline there.
Heroes come in many shapes and sizes, and you must decide what type of hero you want to be.
最初にまあファイナルファンタジー11を始めるときは当然そのプレイヤーの分身
When you actually enter Final Fantasy XI, the first thing you do is create your avatar or a representation of yourself in this world. So you can select from different races. There's Hume, Elven, Taru, Mithra, and Galka.
Well, the first race that you can choose from is the Elvan. The Elvan are tall and are actually very strong, and they are more of the warrior or fighter type of people. Then we have the Hume. This is the most common race in the world of Vana'diel. If you ask what their features are, they look like us. They are good at everything but don't excel at anything. So they are just balanced and equal in all areas. And next we have the Galka, who are also found in the Republic of Bastuk. They are extremely strong, and they live up to 200 years old.
With the Taru, we decided to create a race that was small and cute. Some people mistake them for children, but they are adults. But don't underestimate them, because they could be powerful wizards.
In the Federation of Windhurst, we have the Mithra. At first, everyone thinks that there are only females because that's all you can choose to play. There are actually male Mithra that exist in the world, but they are very few and far between. They look sort of like cats. A lot of Japanese players actually expect that there will be male Mithra made available eventually. Whether or not that's true, it's not known, but that's what the Japanese public is looking forward to.
But peace no longer is the norm in Vana'diel. The Kingdom of Sandoria, the Republic of Bastuk, and the Federation of Windhurst all vie for control of the outlying lands, affecting all of its surroundings.
Well, first of all, you might ask why there are three countries or three kingdoms in this world. Having three countries allows you to have each country with its own set of values. And that set of values changes the perspective of how they view the world.
The three major countries are fighting over who possesses the land. And the conquest is basically that the countries can fight over the land and see who can gain the most resources. And that affects the gameplay too. The country that you choose to start out in could be winning or losing the conquest, and that will affect how the country appears and what type of items they are selling. We made the conquest system so that people can work together in order to interact, get those extra items or extra things for their country to make it easier for each other.
Whether you fight for your country or fight for yourself, enemies abound. You must learn to defend yourself and your friends.
This time, the battle system is different from previous offline games because in those offline games, you fight by yourself, and you go through the story and you see an ending by yourself. Well, this time you are fighting or participating in battles with other people from all around the world, so the battle system had to reflect this. We wanted to create it so that you can chat with people while you're fighting. So we made it once you choose to fight, it begins an auto-fighting sequence so that you can chat with your friends while you are battling. But it's not that simple. All the battle abilities and magic that you can use have to be timed, and if you join forces together and cooperate with players to time your attacks together, you can perform special chain attacks. So if you can time them right, it does a lot of extra damage than if you were just fighting by yourself.
One cannot succeed in this world alone. You must seek out help from others and form powerful alliances.
In Japanese, we use the word kizuna, that basically translates to be connections or bonds between people. And that is the basis of Final Fantasy XI.
In the Final Fantasy Online experience, up to 6 people can form a party and travel together. And when you collect people and form a party, you tend to gather people who will play different roles to have a balance. You allocate the roles in order to battle in a more effective manner. But then to defeat large-scale bosses or to complete large-scale missions, you can form an alliance of up to 3 parties, so you can have up to 18 people fighting together.
But if an alliance is to be successful, you must be a valued member of the team. So choose your role wisely.
Initially, you can choose from 6 jobs. You can start off with warriors, monks, white, black, and red mages, and thieves.
In the Final Fantasy XI world, there's a thing called a Mog House, which is like your private sanctuary that allows you to change your job at will. There's no limit to when and how you can change jobs. So originally you can start off by switching any of the 6 jobs freely. Then, when you get to level 18, there are special quests that you can do to gain support jobs.
In most online games, if you're just a warrior, you're the same warrior as everyone else, but you just have a higher level that makes you different from other people. So in Final Fantasy XI, we decided to add a support job. It allows you to be a warrior that can also cast magic, or a warrior that can easily find rare items, or a warrior who can summon beasts from another world.
If I give away too much, please ignore me. But when you get to level 30, you will discover that there are extra jobs that are made available. And these are sort of hidden in the game, and that you can do special quests to achieve the right to be able to take on those jobs. So look out for them in the game.
The vast online world of Final Fantasy XI is the beginning of an RPG gaming revolution. There is much more to this story. New devices and surprises must be revealed. In due time, the rest will be told. Final Fantasy XI, a game so large, so encompassing, so revolutionary that all could not be revealed at once. Last month you learned about the world inside. Now prepare yourself, because the time has come to fully unveil Final Fantasy XI and the technology that gives it life.
かれこれ10作以上ファイナルファンタジーシリーズってのは続いてますけど
Well, up to now, we've made 10 games in the Final Fantasy series. With the evolution of the hardware that allow people to play with each other over the internet, you can do something new and take on a new challenge and introduce new ideas into the concept of gameplay.
Up to now, massive multiplayer online games were just basically for PC users, and we wanted the console users, people who play on the PlayStation 2, to enjoy what an MMORPG game is all about.
Each Final Fantasy game has always been a step ahead with an eye towards the future. So it comes as no surprise that Final Fantasy XI is not only the first game to use the new PlayStation 2 hard disk drive, but also the first game to come with it.
世界で生活すること
With any ongoing world, you will have changes that keep taking place and have the world continue to evolve. In order to keep it fresh for the player, you need a rewritable memory device. So for Final Fantasy XI, we felt we needed to use the new hard disk drive, rather than just making it a packaged game on one DVD that can't ever be changed. We realized that the hard disk drive was essential to really make Final Fantasy XI interesting.
To increase player population and to make the game truly ubiquitous, Final Fantasy XI will be released on both the PlayStation 2 and the PC. Wherever travels and work may take you, Final Fantasy XI will always be within reach.
If you have both the PC version and the PS2 version, you can use the same account on either. So no matter where you log on from, whether it's a net cafe, whether it's from my company PC or at home on the PS2 version, they all can log on to the same information, and basically it's just a different portal to the same world.
Final Fantasy XI was conceived and developed in Japan, but its users in America are as fervently dedicated as those in the game's homeland.
The programmers from the outset had built the game so that US and Japanese players would be able to play in the same world together. Personally, I am very excited, and my other programmers are very excited about the idea of doing this because it's something totally new. And we will strive to keep this interaction going by continuing to make sure that the game runs smoothly for both the Japanese and US audiences.
We've gone to great lengths to keep the Japanese version and the English version exactly the same. So our translators have to translate simultaneously with the teams as they write the Japanese text and keep everything synchronized exactly so that from now on, every time there's an expansion pack added, the release is simultaneous in both the Japanese and US markets.
In this game, where community and communication play defining roles, your success may depend on bridging the language barrier.
For people who don't speak the same language, we strove to add a simple phrasebook dictionary, an automatic translation system where you can type a key phrase, press a key, and the words will appear in the correct language on the other person's screen. So even if you don't know enough of someone's language, you can still communicate with each other. In Final Fantasy XI, rather than just having the chats be plain text on screen, we've added the emotes, which are like emotional movements or reactions that you can do on top of your simple chatting. So for instance, when you say hello to someone, you can choose to add a wave, or you can be formal and add a proper bow.
The ultimate power of the internet ushers in unlimited possibilities of an alternate world where players' interactions extend beyond physical borders, across countries and continents. With PlayOnline, there are no boundaries.
PlayOnline will come with every game that we release in the future that will be online on PlayStation 2, just to enable people to communicate with each other. The concept of PlayOnline was a gathering place for a little town. So what is in there is a chat system and a messaging system. And even if they're inside different games, you can send short messages to them to say that you're online or that you'll soon be joining them.
So the PlayOnline system is all about sharing and messaging, like having a friend list that you can use to talk and communicate with people.
As the game progresses, time carries on and the world changes. But don't worry, you won't be left behind.
Final Fantasy XI will have content that's downloaded by the user about every 2 months. There'll be new quests, new missions, some adjustments to the game, maybe tweak something up, tweak something down to make everything feel more balanced. It'll be an automatic download once you log into the Final Fantasy.
No bounds, no limits. As the audience and its world grows and expands, technology leads the way.
Basically, about 1 million characters have been created, and over 100,000 people are playing at any given time. Of course, this is by no means the limitation of the hardware. We're always working on increasing the size cap for each server so more people can play together.
Even in this vast RPG universe, friends can meet and play together in the same online environment. With a World Pass, you're in control.
Final Fantasy XI utilizes the World Pass system. If you have friends in the real world or other friends that you've met online that you want to play together with, then you buy a World Pass. It's actually inside the game, but you speak to a non-player character who would actually sell and issue these special passwords to you. Then you just give this password to your friend and get them to input it when they create a character, which allows them to enter that world server.
There is still one crucial element breathing life into this game. You cannot see it, yet it affects the tone and mood and very essence of Final Fantasy XI as profoundly as anything else: the soundtrack.
My approach to creating the music for this online community and game was to find the right balance. Because there are all kinds of people from different backgrounds, different cultures, and different worlds, I wanted to be fair to everyone who is living and breathing and listening to the music. That is the one thing for this game that I am most proud of. The music can be listened to and appreciated by all gamers.
もともとゲーム音楽っていうのはそのゲームの画面ありき、中身ありきの
Generally speaking, with video game music, you have this visual thing in front of you, and I guess you try to match up the music so that it fits the color and the personality of the game itself. But for Final Fantasy XI, since this is a world that exists online, I brought myself inside as if I was one of the party members living in Vana'diel, and I looked at the kinds of music or sound I would be hearing as a person who is actually living there.
が聴いても違和感がないような曲ってのを
This being Final Fantasy, I wanted to make sure that our gamers who have followed the series would not be put in a position where they felt uncomfortable by a different style of music. I wanted to somehow maintain the styles already known and have the music be borderless, free of country lines and languages.
Final Fantasy XI has redefined the RPG genre and opened an entirely new realm in video gaming possibilities. Online play, transoceanic gamers, a transcending soundtrack, and updating features that continually present new material. With this game, technology has been seized and a new pinnacle has been reached.
From the beginning, the Final Fantasy series has been on the forefront of technology and storytelling, of character development and gameplay. And with every iteration, Square brought us to a new world full of rich and intriguing characters. This past year, over 200,000 Japanese gamers have ventured online for another amazing leap in gameplay. Final Fantasy XI. And now, the first and only fully online Final Fantasy title is coming to America. Vana'diel is a world of magic and technology, a world that mixes swordplay and sorcery, and all is held together by the power of the crystals. But when the memories of past wars begin to fade, evil once again emerges.
The very basic story is about 20 years ago, these three kingdoms got into a giant war and kind of settled everything out, kind of peace across the land. Now, 20 years later, things are starting to kind of rumble back together. It has a lot of the old familiar namesakes of the FF series. It has chocobos, it has Moogles, it has airships, it has a lot of the character classes that everyone would be familiar with. The way the character progression works, it's a similar job system as was found in Final Fantasy Tactics and even farther back in Final Fantasy V, so where you can modify your character's job and your abilities as you see fit based on your experience and your gameplay. So you can kind of customize your character to however you want him to be.
You are transported to the world of Vana'diel through your PlayStation 2 and network adapter. But you will also need to equip yourself with some new technology. The 40-gigabyte internal hard disk drive for PlayStation 2.
You can play Final Fantasy XI with both broadband and narrowband. It supports both types of connections. You need a PlayStation 2 computer entertainment system. You need a copy of Final Fantasy XI, obviously enough, and a hard disk drive. Well, what the hard drive allows us to do is it allows us to create persistent worlds on the PlayStation 2. Once it's in, you can actually download content to your system so you can have an updating world. In the case of Final Fantasy, you'll have new quests, new weapons, new character classes, all sorts of things that are opening up, and the only way to do that is to have a hard disk drive in the PlayStation 2.
You are not alone on this quest. Thousands of other gamers are battling monsters and searching for power alongside of you. It's up to you to decide who your allies truly are.
Character quests vary. I mean, they vary as much from going through town to help a little boy find his father, to going out into the wild to gather certain things like rabbit skins, rabbit hides, defeating orcish fodder for their weapons to prove your bravery. There are quests where you go with a party on missions for your home countries. You can join up with up to 6 people in one party, and then 3 parties can come together to form a fellowship of sorts, so you can have up to 18 characters in one grouping. So it really is just a wide variety of quests, much more so than most Final Fantasy games before it.
Only a handful of US gamers were able to experience Final Fantasy XI, the franchise's first online endeavor. We've brought you some videos for a sneak peek at this must-have RPG.